A Canadian company uses drones to deliver products, capturing images of residential areas in the process. Under Canadian privacy law, what must the company ensure to comply with privacy expectations? A. The drones are only operated in commercial areas. B. Images captured by the drones are deleted immediately after delivery. C. Individuals in residential areas are notified about the drone flights and the potential for image captured. Consent is obtained from all residents in the area before using drones for delivery. Correct answer. C. Individuals in residential areas are notified about the drone flights and the potential for image capture. How does Canadian privacy law view the collection of employee personal information through wearable technology in the workplace? A. It is permissible without consent if it is strictly for workplace safety. B. Consent must be obtained, and employees must be informed about how the information will be used. C. It is considered a violation of privacy and is generally prohibited. D. Employers can collect this information without restrictions as part of employment agreements. Correct answer. B. Consent must be obtained, and employees must be informed about how the information will be used. A Canadian retail company offers a loyalty program that tracks customers' purchasing behavior. Under PIPEDA, what principle is most directly related to this practice? A. Accountability. B. Identifying purposes. C. Consent. D. Limiting use, disclosure, and retention. Correct answer. C. Consent. Under PIPEDA, when must an organization make its privacy policy available to the public? A. Upon request only. B. At the time of collecting personal information. C. In its annual report. D. On its website and in its physical locations. Correct answer. D. On its website and in its physical locations. A Canadian non-profit organization collects personal information from donors. What requirement under PIPEDA applies to this scenario? A. Non-profit organizations are exempt from PIPEDA. B. The organization must have a public privacy policy even though it is a non-profit. C. Consent for collecting, using, and disclosing personal information is not required for non-profits. D. Personal information can be used for any purpose as long as it supports the non-profit's objectives. Correct answer. B. The organization must have a public privacy policy even though it is a non-profit. Which of the following scenarios represents a breach of PIPEDA? A. An organization collects extra personal information for a legitimate business purpose but fails to obtain consent for the additional collection. B. A company uses personal information for a purpose for which consent was obtained, but the individual decides they no longer wish to participate. C. Personal information is collected from publicly available sources without individual consent. D. An organization securely destroys personal information that is no longer needed for the purposes for which it was collected. Correct answer. A. An organization collects extra personal information for a legitimate business purpose but fails to obtain consent for the additional collection. A data breach occurs at a Canadian financial institution, exposing customer financial data. Under PIPEDA, what is not a required response by the institution? A. Conducting a thorough investigation to understand the breach's scope. B. Notifying the affected customers immediately upon discovery of the breach. C. Reporting the breach to the relevant authorities, including the Office of the Privacy Commissioner. D. Publicly disclosing the details of the breach, including the number of customers affected. Correct answer. D. Publicly disclosing the details of the breach, including the number of customers affected. What principle under PIPEDA requires an organization to maintain personal information in a manner that allows an individual to obtain access to their information and challenge its accuracy? A. Openness. B. Individual access. C. Accuracy. D. Challenging compliance. Correct answer. B. Individual access. A company in Canada uses an automated decision-making process to evaluate loan applications. Under PIPEDA, what rights do individuals have regarding this process? A. The right to know the reasons if their application is denied based on the automated decision. B. The right to opt out of automated decision-making processes. C. The right to have a human review all automated decisions. D. The right to have their personal information excluded from the automated decision-making process. Correct answer. A. The right to know the reasons if their application is denied based on the automated decision. Under Canadian privacy law, when can an organization refuse an individual's request for access to their personal information? A. When the information is protected by attorney-client privilege. B. If the individual has not paid a fee for access. C. When the request is considered frivolous or vexatious. D. Both A and C. Correct answer. D. Both A and C. A Canadian organization plans to implement facial recognition technology for security purposes. Under PIPEDA, what is a critical consideration before deployment? A. The technology must be able to differentiate between employees and visitors. B. Consent must be obtained from all individuals who will be subject to facial recognition. C. The organization must ensure that the technology is 100% accurate. D. Facial recognition data must be stored for at least 5 years for auditing purposes. Correct answer. B. Consent must be obtained from all individuals who will be subject to facial recognition. How does PIPEDA define sensitive information, and what implications does this have for how it should be treated? A. Information about an individual's health, finances, or ethnicity. It requires a higher level of protection. B. Any information that can be used to identify an individual, treated the same as any personal information. C. Information collected online, requiring explicit consent for its use. Employee information, which is exempt from consent requirements. Correct answer. A. Information about an individual's health, finances, or ethnicity. It requires a higher level of protection. What does the principle of openness under PIPEDA require of organizations? A. To be transparent about policies and practices related to the management of personal information. B. To open their records to the public upon request. C. To notify individuals immediately upon collecting their personal information. D. To make their privacy policies open for public comment before implementation. Correct answer. A. To be transparent about policies and practices related to the management of personal information. Under PIPEDA, what does the principle of consent require for the collection, use, or disclosure of personal information in the course of commercial activities? A. Consent must be obtained after the information is collected, but before it is used. B. Consent must be implied for all commercial activities. C. Consent must be expressed for sensitive information and can be implied for less sensitive information. D. Organizations must obtain consent for the collection and use of personal information, but not for disclosure. Correct answer. C. Consent must be expressed for sensitive information and can be implied for less sensitive information. When is it acceptable under Canadian privacy law for an organization to disclose personal information to a third party without consent? A. When the third party is an affiliate of the organization. B. For the purposes of collecting a debt owed by the individual to the organization. C. When the individual has previously consented to similar disclosures. D. Always, as long as the third party agrees to use the information only for the purposes for which it was originally collected. Correct answer. B. For the purposes of collecting a debt owed by the individual to the organization.